Hey everyone, Dan here. Before we get into it, if you enjoy these videos, please hit the like and subscribe button and keep in mind that these are my own thoughts, opinions, and ideas. These are not meant to be, nor should you take them as investment or trading advice in any way, shape, or form. Do your own due diligence, put in the work for yourself, and make your decisions based on that. Enjoy. All right, folks, here we are after market close on Tuesday, October 10th. We're going to take an updated look at NVOS today. So NVOS, getting into this gap that we have on the chart, we see it kicks off here at about 36.48, and it fills this gap right here a little bit above 42.78. It looks like the low of this day was 43.18, so just over 43. I'm going to leave this on the chart for now and just know that we can get a little bit more granular with it if and when the price action gets toward that level. But this gap was left just a few days ago. So coming back to try to get into that space, I'm a little reluctant to say fill it, but maybe. Just a couple of days later. So this day minus 31%. Today, flipping the script a bit, rising over 20%. So I'm interested to see what it does now that it's in this gap. And we don't have a fixed level here. I still don't really see one shy of that basically 40-cent level. So I don't know if there's going to be a ton of resistance shy of that, other than, potentially some collisions with EMAs and stuff like that. So we can take a look at that now, and then we'll zoom into the intraday today and sort of see where we're situated. So additionally of interest, it's still on the daily in a bullish formation here with the EMAs, meaning the 8 is situated over the 21, is situated over the 34. And we saw a brief dip here, the 8 below the 21, quickly course corrected. So sometimes I talk about, hey, if it dips below this trend line, or hey, if it loses this EMA, what I would want to see is it to quickly recover if it's going to continue. This is a prime example of what I mean. This is the quick recovery that I'm talking about. We don't often have a ton of examples to show, so I just kind of say it and hope that people kind of understand what I'm saying. But this is that example. We had the bearish crossover here, and we put in a candle, and then the next candle, it pulled it back, right? And that's the quick recovery. And then you see what that resulted in, a run up here, just shy of 53 cents, and then left this big gap, which is now where the price action is. So really interesting position at the moment. Now, sitting today at this low was just above the 34 EMA. So continuing to hold that, continuing to work nicely through the 21 EMA, meaning it's not getting pulled down and testing the 34 and then hitting its head on the 21 and catching extreme resistance there. That's a really good sign. That's what I was worried about after I saw this candle, right? I was worried, okay, is this going to put in significant resistance at the 21 and not be able to get the motion back toward the 8? But today, it clearly did that. What tomorrow will bring, because this is such an insane roller coaster of a stock at the moment, it's a little bit hard to say. But as of now, we still have a bullish formation on these EMAs, and it's doing a really good job of holding that price action today, not only above the 34, but above the 21, and now even settling into close over the 8 EMA. So I'm really happy with that if I'm an NVOS bull today. Now, we'll put the levels back on the chart here, but you see how this played out. We'll see this even more poignantly when we flip over to the Think or Swim study, and you can see it on the EMA cloud there. But you see coming into open today, everything was sort of bunched up. And this is when you can get these crazy runs sometimes. Everything coiling and bunching up ahead of open, right? As the sort of waiting for the volume to pour in. The volume pours in, and there's the unravel. And if you had caught that unravel, then you were in good shape, because it just rode that 8 EMA and then dipped down, didn't even need to touch the 21 EMA, and then just back at the 8, support over again, stretched down, but didn't need to touch that 21 EMA. That's the sign of really, really continuous strength in either direction, right? If it was beneath the 8 EMA, that would be a sign of more bearish momentum to come. This is a sign of more bullish momentum to come. Not only does it not need to come down and touch the 21 EMA intraday, but every time it stretches toward it, it wicks right up, right? And so you get these very top heavy candles with long wicks stretching toward that, even this one to an extent, but I mean, really tremendously, incredibly strong momentum sustained throughout the entire day. And you finally see in the after hours now, it's putting in this second or third candle after hours that it's touching that 21 EMA, it appears. So what that'll do is sort of to be seen. Also, obviously, volume is tremendously lower at the moment than it was while it was pushing here throughout the day. So, maybe keep that in mind as well. Now, if we throw these levels back on the chart, these are the same levels that we saw on the daily. It wasn't able to make this stretch yet, at least, from 35.72 to basically 40. So there is a big stretch there. I'm curious to see if it's able to maintain support over that 35.72 throughout the after hours and then in the pre-market tomorrow. If it's able to make a run at that 40, I'd be really interested to see what it does there. And this is that gap entry point that we saw on the daily chart, entering that gap at 36.48, coming down right now and treating that gap entry point as support with these last two candles. So could be a really interesting motion, not only because we have a pretty big gap here in the price action between that 35 to 40, but also we're in a literal gap that was brought about on the daily chart like we saw moments ago. All right, now let's flip over to the Think or Swim study. Hey folks, just so you know, you can get these videos early and ad-free. If you click on the description below and become a member, you can make that happen, and I really appreciate the support. Thanks a lot. Enjoy the rest of the video. So here's the study. This is the 10 minutes. So we're starting back here again at the 10 minutes, and this is what I'm sort of pointing out. So into open today, accumulating right around the mid-range of the channel. That's that bright blue line in the middle. Quick stretch down to test support at the lower bound of the channel, and then just an explosion up through the upper bound of the channel. And what we usually look for is for it to need to come down and test the mid-range of the channel, that bright blue line, and it just doesn't need to quite come down there. This is what we were just looking at. It's riding this cloud, and it's riding out above the upper bound of the channel throughout most of the day. So really, really tremendous strength. You see how much of the day was spent in overbought territory in the RSI. This is why I tell people a lot of times, just because something is overbought doesn't mean that it needs to sell, and just because it's oversold doesn't mean that it needs to get bought. Stocks can spend a lot of time in overbought or oversold territory. And you see a real herky-jerky action here, honestly, on the histogram with the TTM squeeze indicator. So not a lot of clear, not a lot of clarity provided on the momentum by the histogram, but you would have done well to just focus on the cloud, focus on the mid-range of the channel today, and that would have treated you pretty darn nicely. Now, if we zoom out to the hour to see sort of where we situated ourselves from an hourly perspective, accumulating here in the low mid range of the channel, and you also see here on the TTM squeeze indicator, spending the off market hours triggering. So long trigger here, and then a couple of candles into open today, it finally fired. So you had sort of a big move here that was still in the trigger phase, but then it fired and it sort of ate up the rest of the move. So really nice motion there. And funny enough, on the hour chart, it's not even in overbought territory yet. Didn't even stretch that high on the RSI. And so then to the daily, does this look like a roller coaster yet? You see something, this looks pretty double topish here. So interested to see what that sort of means. But like we said, here's the huge gap, right? And the huge gap right now, the upper bound of the channel stretches through that gap. So again, if we were looking for something that sort of appears as though it could be some clear passage to fill that gap, it has some elements of that. Whether it'll do it or not, that's the question. Additionally, of interest, not only is this wrestling with the mid-range of the channel at the moment, but also this is the 180 to 200 EMA cloud that has swooped in to provide support, resistance, and now once again, support with a question mark. Is this going to provide support into tomorrow? That will be interesting as well. So you have the support of the mid-range of the channel, potential support of the EMA cloud, and then at least per the constraints of the channel itself, you have the potential for run room up to the upper bound of the channel that would clear the full range of that price gap to the upside. So again, I don't know that it'll fill it. I don't know that it'll fill it in one day. That would be a lot to ask. But just saying that these are things that are sort of becoming an interesting confluence of events on the various time frames and the charts that we're looking at. All right, folks, I hope that your trading week is off to a good start. And as always, I appreciate you watching, and I will see you in the next video.